Hey everyone, welcome to Tada AI. Thank you so much for being part of this testing. I'm going to run through with you today everything you need to know about building an app using Tada AI and just the general need to know things, especially for you who have already built on the old Tadabase builder. Today we're here to understand how those two relate to each other and the important things to know when you're switching to using Tada AI. So let's get started. So the first thing you'll notice when you actually log into the studio is that there's a slightly different structure than the original database builder in terms of how the apps are organized. And the distinction is that we now put apps into workspaces. And workspaces basically allow you to easily share projects between different users, and you can work on a project with the whole team in a much easier manner. And we're just going to devote, a whole video to the intricacies and details of workspaces at a different time. But I just want to give you that heads up that a slightly different structure. You'll be able to move things from workspace to move apps from workspace to workspace. Transfer between workspaces, work in apps in different workspaces, the whole shebang. But that's just something to be aware of, and we're gonna, I just wanted to mention that here. So let's get started. Let me first dig into, the new app flow, what that looks like, and through that route, I'm also going to show you the structure of database apps in general, and we're going to end it off with an understanding of how do you connect an existing database app to the AI Studio. So let's get started. So you can see over here, when you're in your workspace, for you, this will probably appear with apps already inside of it. It's important to note that every Tadabase app exists within the Tada AI Studio because the Tada AI Studio is an extension of the Tadabase Builder. So you're going to have, if you already have apps in the Tadabase Builder, they're going to appear over here. And all of these apps share the same database, share the same workflows, share the same import templates, export templates, etc., with those apps already in the database builder. And I'm going to show you where you can make that connection within the app. So let's, new app, and this is the new app flow. Let's just choose one of these options I have over here. Let's say a booking portal. And the key over here for building new apps, just as an aside, and this is true with any AI, you're going to want to provide as much context as you can. This is a fairly small prompt. I, in general, would recommend, really hashing out exactly what it is you want to build. Um, Ideally, going to maybe, another AI, hashing out the idea with it, understanding who are your user roles, what are the data structures you want to build, what are the pages you want to see, what are the user flows that you want to, enable for the users, and that way the end product is able to match your expectations. Vague prompts equals vague outputs. So always enhance your prompt. I'm going to leave it vague over here. The key over here is not going to be so much about the output. Um, you're going to, explore on your own, but I just want to show you the structure of apps and how they're built. So when you click start building, it's going to review, the information you gave it. If it's more of an open-ended idea, like in this case, it's going to ask you some questions. And we could just, answer these in general. Let's say general practice, let's say. We want front desk, clinic administrators, nurses, medical assistants, billing specialists. Okay. Let's include medical history, insurance information. Let's click all of these. Yeah. And let's offer this and build app. So that'll generally happen when you don't provide, tons of information. And again, I always recommend provide as much information as you can. If you have existing spreadsheets, if you have existing things that you already, built out, understand those super well so that you can express to the AI in the best possible way um, what it is that you want to do. This is going to go through a 16-step process, building the tables and fields, the aggregate fields, equation fields, user roles, sample records, everything you needed for your app. The key to understand here is that the AI can build anything in the app. It's not only for front end, it's not only for back end, it's for both. It's for workflows, it's for building sample records, setting your app settings, creating charts, KPIs, everything you need to do in Tadabase or in the Tada AI Studio, you can do through the AI chat. Now, the advantage that we have over here with Tada AI is that it's not solely reliant on the AI chat. And you'll see what I mean when we jump into it, that we try to give the no code feel that you're used to with Tadabase Builder. We understand that there's going to be situations where you don't necessarily want to prompt the AI. Like sometimes prompting the AI chat is more than you need, or will take much longer than just going in and actually manually changing it. So we're open to that, and that's why the extension of Tadabase, which is the Tada AI Studio, is is so useful for people because it understands that like AI for AI's sake is not exactly useful. It's when you combine AI with real workflows and no code abilities where it actually shines. And you can see this is already underway. Usually app builds take less than 5 minutes, around 5 minutes. Um, and so we can see what it's starting to build over here. It created the tables, it created the fields, it added user roles. All these things are being built, and you can see over here the longest step generally is going to be the actual designing of the front end. And once that's generated, you'll see that it generates a build summary, and then you can actually enter into your app. Now, um, I wanted to show you on the top over here, this is where your Tadabase old builder connects to your AI Studio. If you click on this button over here, open in Tadabase Builder, that will open this app that's being created right now in the Tadabase Builder that you're used to. And that way, if there's for some reason you're more used to that interface or you want to check something over there, there's a direct connection. The principal understanding over here is that the apps over there in the Tadabase Builder and the apps in the Tada AI Studio share the same backend. So you can build whatever you want on that interface, and it will reflect itself on the Tada AI Studio. That being said, the interface, meaning the front end element, is where the Tada AI Studio really shines and where there's a distinction. I'm going to get to that once the app finishes building. And yeah, I think I'm just going to let it finish. And once it's done, we'll see what the build summary says. Beautiful. So the app is complete. It's ready. And now we can take a look into what it is that was built. And again, for the sake of this video, the output is not the most important thing in the world, but I just want to show you the structure of every Tata AI app, so you can be familiar when you enter into the platform exactly how it's structured. Okay, so the basic structure of every AI app in this Tata Studio revolves around this top bar over here. Now, um, there are a couple of different details over here that are relevant. I'm going to go through each one. Number one is the dashboard. The dashboard is just an overview of your Tada AI app. It includes, a view into the interfaces, a view into whether it's published, drafts, pages, things like that. Basically, an overview of your AI app. The interface is really the biggest difference between the Tadabase Builder and the Tada AI Studio. And the relevant idea here is that what you had in the Tadabase Builder called the Page Builder is now replaced in the Tada AI Studio with the interface. And the advantage the interface gives you is that using the AI chat, you can um, basically create whatever you want. Um, there's no limitations in terms of the design, the style, the look, the fonts, the coloring, anything you want to build using the interface, you can just type it into the chat interface and build it for you. That being said, this goes into something we said earlier. Um, every app can have multiple interfaces, so you can choose to have one interface connected back to your database and a completely different one connected to the same database. So as an example over here, what we see over here easily could have been built using the old Tadabase Builder. You'd be able to have multiple logins, and it all exists within one set of pages. However, the distinction between what we see over here and what was in the old Tadabase Builder is that in addition to this multiple user role set of portals, you also can create another interface with a completely different set of rules, completely different set of design styles, and have it be its completely separate portals, completely separate app connected back to the same database. And that has, a ton of different advantages that you can go into and that we're going to go into actually in a future video. So that's the interface. And this is where you actually interact with the look and feel of what your users will be interacting with in the front end. This is a live app, meaning I shouldn't say live. This is a real app in the sense that the data on it is live. So if we logged in as a patient over here, this is a real patient's data. Obviously, it's a sample one in this case, but if we were to publish this app right away, it would show up, and this is the patient would be able to track it if they had to sign in. So that's good to know. And that's interfaces in a nutshell. And we're going to come back to actually how to use them. Once we finish the overview element of this video. Then after that is the data tables. Now the data tables is going to be familiar to anybody who's used database, the Tadabase builder in the past. You have your tables, you have your fields, connections, records, roles, security, and this is something that is super important for the new Tata AI Studio, and that's the element of security. You need to have API access enabled in order for your tables to be useful within the Tata AI Studio. And I'm going to get to that when we actually build an app or we connect an existing Tadabase app to a new Tata AI app. After the data tables, we're going to move on to workflows. And this is where we've kind of coalesced everything in Tadabase related to automations, workflows, templates, pipes. It all comes together in workflows where you can visually create that flow, let's say record update to status change to create billing record, conditions, loopers, everything within the workflows tab. And you can see over here that this is all completely manipulatable within um, the no code element of the platform. So again, this brings back the advantage of no code. Sometimes, it's more work to, type into the chat exactly what step you want to manipulate in a workflow. It's much easier just to go in and actually just change the field itself. So that's workflows. Then we have AI, and this is where the Tata agents live. And the Tata agents is your hub for managing the AI agents that your end users interact with. So let me show you within the app what I'm talking about. When you navigate into one of the apps, you'll see that there's two different ways that your users can interact with AI within the app as the end users, right? Because we have two separate things having to do with AI in the Tata AI Studio. There's obviously this AI chat on the left-hand side over here, and that helps you build. That's AI helping you build. And then there's the Ask Anything AI agents or the Agents tab within every app that allows the end user to interact with their data using AI, which is a amazing feature that basically empowers the user to completely go beyond the bounds of what just the data tells them. The data can actually speak back to them, which is really cool. And so the AI tab over here is what enables that ability. And you can manage the various agents, you can manage the ask mode, the AI insights. That all is controlled within the AI tab. And then you have settings. This is where you can control the app meta information, the name, the app description. This is fairly self-explanatory, exists also within the Tadabase builder. And then in order to find the templates, assets, and PDFs, you can go into the three dot menu over here and find them. And this is what you're used to in the Tata AI in the Tadabase builder. You have import templates, export templates, email templates, everything like that. Again, all completely manipulatable from within the app if you want to make changes manually. Okay, so that's an overview of the structure of every Tata AI app. A couple of quick things to note. You're going to be accessing your multiple interfaces from this central tab over here. I showed you this already, but I just want to reiterate it. Again, just to mention, you're able to access the old Tadabase builder through this button over here on the right-hand side. And that's a structure of, how the of how every Tata AI app when you're building is going to look, right? You can make the app full screen. You can start a new chat over here, and you can access your history of your chats from this button over here. That being said, it's kind of self-explanatory. We went through the app building process, prompting your app and creating new features is kind of wherever you want to go with it, right? Whatever apps, whatever features, whatever workflows, fields, whatever it is that you want to create, you can do from the AI interface. You can pretty much ask for anything. Just as I'll just show you an example really quickly. Create for me a new Tata agent named Emily that guides users to understand their medical history and helps them book appointments. Okay. So when you prompt this, what it basically allows you to do is it allows you to build, and like I said before, pretty much anything you want. You can build new agents, you can build new pages, you can redesign the pages completely. You could build whole new apps using the AI interface. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. It worked very well. It created this whole new agent. We can go into the agents over here and see it created Emily, and it set up exactly who Emily is, the tone, who has access to it, um, features, approvals, everything. Everything was just created there. And one of the easiest things you can do in Tada AI is change the interface, because we know that the design is 50% um, of every application. The end users need to be able to access and interact with the app in a nice way. So this inspect over here basically allows you to select any particular portion of the app, and it allows you to actually hyperfixate or hyperfocus on what it is you want to change. So you can go over here, you can say make this background have loading doctors items in 3D, faded out, and animated to bump around. I don't know how this is going to do. I don't know what it's necessarily going to do, but let's see. Um, while that's building, you could basically understand that you can go through your entire app this way and actually make changes like these. Um, I've demonstrated how you can create new agents. You can, create whole new fields and tables. This is going to be doing a front end interface edit. And the key to understand with front end interface edits is that um, they are not permanent, in the sense that you don't have to keep them. You don't. Sometimes people get worried that they're stuck with the changes that they make, or that the AI makes, and there's no control over it. There's no issue that you can just go back into changes, and well, in this case, it hasn't finished. But once it does finish, you'll see that. Okay, I see that it's putting in those doctors things right now. Um, let's say they design the design that the AI makes. I don't like it. It's not something that it wasn't what I intended. That's inevitable that something like that might happen when you're working with AI, because it doesn't always have a complete understanding of what you want. Maybe you didn't express it properly, whatever it is. In this case, I actually happen to like the floating doctors things in the background. But let's say we didn't. Those changes are not going to be permanent. So if you click on this tab over here, everything is pretty much clickable. So you can see exactly what it's doing. Um, but the second that's done building, if I decide I don't like this, then let's give it a minute to finish up the various animations that it's building. And once that's done, you can see updates are live. I haven't actually really liked it in this case, but um, let's say we don't like it. Let's say it doesn't match exactly what we were looking for. You can easily go to the changes tab. You can see the most recent changes made to the front end, and if you don't like it, you can always revert back to what it was. Go back to the preview, and it no longer is there. So that's the workflow roughly in a nutshell of what it looks like to go from no app to working on an app. You got kind of have a view of the structure of how building an app works. And now I want to pivot over to what it looks like to connect an existing app to the AI Studio, because you'll be able to take your existing database apps and make a interface on top of it, as you've seen here. So let's go about doing that. Let's go to the home. Let's find an app in here that has no vibe apps. You can see it's indicated by 0 vibe apps over here. So let's take um, school management software template. I'm not sure what's in this app. Let's see if there's anything in here. Cool. In this case, it seems to be a lot of records. There seems to be a decent amount of tables. Let's see if there's any workflows. It seems like there's one workflow in here. So the question is, how do we connect this um, how do we make this existing database app, which exists in the builder, how do we give it a new interface? How do we give it an interface that is nice, is clean, is made by the AI, and how do we iterate upon that? It's actually very simple. So basically, there's buttons all over for it. So you can do it from here, you can do it from here, but the key is that you can create your first Vibe app. That's what it's called. And you basically click over here, and it allows you to start building your new Vibe app. So you can choose what starter layout you want. Let's say you want a slate, or let's say Aurora, and you want it to be like Atlas. And then you can choose your starting point. So you can scaffold from the app or have a blank app. Um, I'm going to choose scaffold from app, and I'm also going to choose mirror my database app. And then obviously you have to give it a name. So let's call it school management. And when you create the app, it's going to give you a pop-up given with regards to what I mentioned before about enabling API access. The only way for your old Tadabase app to be able to be utilized through the Tada AI Studio is if you enable API access. And this will be done automatically when you click continue. It's basically activating the API access across the tables. Um, and now your tables have access to the API that allows data to flow into the interfaces. Now, this is not the end of the road for these data tables, because the key to understand over here, once you've gone to this place where the API access is enabled, is to make sure that the data tables have row level security activated. And that is done by, within the security tab, you got to make sure that enable row level security is enabled. If for some reason it's not enabled, that will be indicated by a orange marker sign over here. And you can enable it and choose the security policies that are relevant for that table, either from the chat interface or from the security policies itself. And this is fairly straightforward. This is an outgrowth of the idea of row level security, meaning that the data is protected from the database itself, meaning that no one should be able to access data that they aren't allowed to access from the database layer. And you set that in the database. So let's say, for example, you don't want the average teacher to be able to access and manipulate the different users in an app. You don't want them to be able to delete a user, like an admin user. So you would enable particular access roles, security policies within the row level security. And you would go through which operations are allowed, which records can they access, et cetera, et cetera. And that will allow the portals to be properly defended. This obviously can also be done from the chat interface. So I hope that's been a good overview of what it looks like to build an app from scratch and connect your Tadabase app to the Tada AI Studio. Enjoy building, it's a lot of fun. And let us know if you have any questions. Reach out to us via the community, and we'll respond back to you either with a personalized message or with another one of these videos explaining the answer in depth. Have a great day.